Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Let me first of all recognize the presence of His Excellency Dr. Liverpool, our former president, and his wife, our chief librarian, Mrs. Robin, our benefactor, Mr. Franklin Georges, ladies and gentlemen, staff of the Wesley High School, and very importantly, our students who are present. Let me, on behalf of the government and people of Dominica, and the Ministry of Education in particular, to thank Mr. Georges for his most generous gift to all of us in Dominica, giving us books to read, making them accessible to us is an important form of national contribution. And Mr. Georges, through his own pride and passion for Black history and his desire to see all of us in the country, irrespective of our race, have an appreciation for the contribution which Black people have made, not only to Dominica's development, but to the development and advancement of the world over. And it's an important element of our own education. So it was very important for us to have access to the material, to the reading material, so that our students who come in there could make use of it. On the issue of teaching of Black history at the schools, the authority is in the hands of the teachers and parents. So they have the authority to introduce Black history into the school system. So it doesn't have to take a directive from myself as the Prime Minister or the Minister for Education to instruct this, because there are a number of things which the schools from time to time do with no authority from myself or the Minister of Education. But it has to be a call and a decision by the school system, and to say that they have my full support to introduce Black history at the secondary school. I look forward to the day when we can have the most prestigious library in the Caribbean. I have received a design for the library, but I am not satisfied with it. I want to better what you see at your back in respect to the State House when it comes to the library. So we are now redesigning the library, and we'll present it to the country in very short order. But the people of Dominica would have to assist the government in determining where do you place the library. Because clearly the space between this library and the DBS radio, we will not have sufficient space. It will require the demolition of one of the buildings. I understand that there is strong opposition to the demolition of this present library structure. So we have to look at where do we place this library. It has to be in close proximity to the population, walking distance, so it cannot be out of town, so to speak. So once we design the library, we'll be in a position to engage the general public as to where we place the library. Because clearly, in the second decade of the 21st century, this cannot be our national library. We have to do better than that, and we must do better than that. And the government is committed to doing better than that. But I really want to recognize the efforts of Mr. Georges and our friend Mr. Blanc, who told me he's 76 years old. When I am 50, I would like to look like you, sir.
He's 1 year younger than me.
1 year younger than you. There you go. You see, so they have been at the vanguard of the promotion of Black history in Dominica, and really want to recognize their efforts. And these are gentlemen who have been back in the country, who've built their homes there, who are involved in farming, who are involved in education, who are involved in culture, and quietly doing a number of things to the advancement of Dominica. And that's what we have to seek to promote. Yes, you've gone out there to better yourselves, but not forgetting from whence you came. And when you do return to enjoy what we have, you're coming here to improve on it. Not to criticize what we have, but recognizing where the gaps are, where the shortfalls are, and playing your part in filling those gaps and improving on the shortfalls. So I would like to commend the efforts of Mr. Georges in particular. With the advent of talk shows, and of course we're not a hugely reading population. Too many of us do not read in Dominica. So when you listen to the talk shows, for example, every caller calls to react to what the previous caller has said. not to draw to our attention something that he has read and he would like to educate the masses. And likewise, most of the talk show hosts themselves are not well read. And so they introduce a topic not knowing anything about the topic. And the little that they know, they're not in a position to share it with the listenership. So we are going down a very dangerous route where those who are supposed to educate us through the mass media themselves are not reading. And if you're not reading, how are you going to educate us? How are you going to inform us on new things? And how are you going to guide us on the way forward? So as students, these are the things that you have to look at. How do you differentiate fact from fiction? How do you differentiate news from gossip? And so it is important that the education system pays particular attention to these things and not necessarily be too perturbed about the CXC results and how many ones we can get and how many twos we can get, but ensuring that we produce students who can stand the test of time and who can withstand all of the pressures out there in the world, Dominica included. So when Mr. Georges invited me several months ago to be here and to receive the books on behalf of the library, I did not know where I would have been on this day, but I told him, certainly I shall come. And the good Lord has allowed me to be here this morning to be part of this very important ceremony and to say that the government fully endorses these efforts. I have looked at some of the books and I can say to the students, these books are important books for you to read. They're very important books to read. From Maurice Bishop to Marcus Garvey to Dr. King and all of the wonderful leaders, Mandela, all of the wonderful leaders who have assisted us in our own freedoms, assisted us in our own enlightenment. They are all there, books written on them, informing us of what they have done and to shape our present here today. So it's important for us to recognize it. And when you read about these men, you will see that while they would have negotiated words, they never negotiated principle. And that's an important element of all these black leaders. They never negotiated their principles. And they stood by them, and many of them died for these very important principles. So I wish you all the best, and I look forward, Mr. Georges, possibly on your 80th birthday. So we could have a huge celebration, and maybe around that time we'll have not only a Black History Week, but only a Black History Month.
For next year.
For next year. Thank you very much. God bless you, students. Thank you very much.